All right, let's bring in today's panel. Jeff Sika, Circle Squared Alternative Investments Co. and Doug Flynn, Zito Capital Management founder. Thanks to both of you for joining me. Jeff, what do you take away from Walmart?
Well, I mean, there were great numbers, but we see that we have this war of attrition. And when you look at it, there's only a handful of retailers that are surviving this massacre in retail. But I think it was a great number. I think it shows that Walmart was able to adapt to the online. I think we saw their online numbers up around 40%, which is fantastic. So as usual, Walmart has been one of the most adaptable companies. They're able to grow with the times, and they're able to take advantage of the demise of brick and mortar retail. They are still standing, and they are stronger than ever.
Doug, I mean, the onslaught, the slaughter, all of the words that Jeff just used are really working for me as a shopper. I mean, there's just
Yes.
more on my phone, more available. I can compare price very easily. Who's winning, the shopper or the investor?
Both of them, actually. And as far as the shopper goes, no doubt. I was in a store the other day and I saw a price. I thought that was good. I had a coupon and I went on my phone and lo and behold, it was cheaper on my phone. I hit the button, I walked out.
I don't know why you went
and
into a store. You're not supposed to do that anymore. I don't go into stores. You just sit there.
I had to get a prescription. I was there, but I ended up not buying it. So there's that. But no doubt about it, when it comes to online, Walmart, to me, has done a fantastic job of taking advantage of the ever-increasing shift towards online. Not that Amazon isn't already there and taking advantage of it, but they've really made some inroads. Of course, they're coming from a smaller space, but that just gives them a lot of opportunity. Their sales, let's face it, are twice as big as Amazon, and yet it's really only 1/4 the size in terms of the volatility and half the market cap. So there's some opportunity there relative to Amazon.
All right, happening right now, meantime, in Washington, the Democratic caucus meeting to talk about the USMCA, the trade deal. This is President Trump is getting set to head to Louisiana moments from now, where he will have a campaign rally tonight. Now, earlier in the day, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, said that passage of the so-called new NAFTA through Congress could be imminent. She hopes they can get it done, she said, this calendar year. So with that as the setup, Blake Berman live at the White House following all the developments for us. Blake.
Hi there, Connell. And there is a sense on both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue right now that getting the USMCA to the House floor for a vote at some point here, potentially by the end of the year, is getting close. You talked about Nancy Pelosi, some rather bullish comments that she made earlier today regarding the USMCA, at one point saying, quote, "I'd like to see us get it done this year." She also talked up how this deal between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico is constructed.
We are moving positively in terms of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Again, it all comes down to enforcement, enhancement too, but enforcement. I do believe that if we can get this to the place it needs to be, which is imminent, that this can be a template for future trade agreements.
Now, back over here, an administration source told me earlier today that their feeling right now is, quote unquote, things are happening. We also heard from the top Republican on the House Ways and Means Committee, Kevin Brady, and he suggested as well that potentially this could make its way through the House this year.
I think the discussions between House Democrats and the White House have been very productive. Look, this is a dream deal for labor Democrats. It has provisions they never achieved ever before.
The outstanding questions, though, Connell, still remain with this one, which is it going to be brought to the House floor? If so, when? And at that point, are Democrats willing to give President Trump a political victory, if you want to look at it that way, allowing his signature trade deal to date to go forward?
Right, in the midst of these impeachment hearings.
Right, exactly.
Blake, thanks. Blake Berman on the North Lawn.
Fox Business confirming that trade talks between U.S. and China officials took place today. Let's go to Edward Lawrence with details on this. Edward.
Yeah, those trade talks are going forward here. The U.S. trade representative, I'm told from sources within the administration, trade sources, that there was a deputy-level phone conversation between the U.S. and Chinese trade teams. I'm told that there's progress that's being made towards getting that phase one deal down on paper. What I am not told, though, and I'm still asking about, is the timeline. Is that timeline going to hold? Originally, the administration wanted to see if they could get it down on paper and signed in the next few days. The president was supposed to to leave today for the APEC summit, which was canceled. The president expected during that summit to sign a new phase 1 trade deal with China. What happened today instead was that the Chinese bought another round of soybeans, a large purchase of soybeans, according to the U.S. Agriculture Department. Also, the Chinese lifted the ban on poultry being delivered into the United States, imported from the U.S. to China. The U.S. Trade Representative says that the poultry industry itself is a $1 billion transport or industry from the U.S. to China. So that would be a boom for farmers when they start buying. Back to you.
Edward, thank you.
Reshaping the local economic landscape, housing prices soaring in Arlington, Virginia, since the announcement of Amazon's second headquarters, which came a year ago. Meanwhile, New York City real estate prices have gone down, the company deciding against a similar plan in this area following the local protests. So, Jeff, you first on this one, the Amazon effect, I guess. What do you make of this?
Well, I mean, Garden City was a perfect example. Here you had prices surge in Garden City when Amazon announced, and now
Long Island City in New York.
Long Island City, I'm sorry. And then you have what's happening in Arlington County, where you're seeing 35% increases in home prices. This shows that Amazon coming into your neighborhood is a good thing. There is nothing that I could see outside of a few outlier negatives that would make this a bad thing. And I think we have to pay close attention to what happened here. I was a big advocate of trying to keep them in the tri-state area.
Yep.
But now the people in Arlington County and Virginia are going to benefit for years to come. You're talking about maybe 50,000 jobs in the next few years. That's a tremendous advantage to them being there.
So, Doug, Jeff says good thing. You know the argument on the other side that people come in and they say, well, look at these numbers in Arlington, Virginia, and you have an affordability problem. So that's what people on that side of the argument have said. Which side of it are you on? What do you say about the Amazon effect?
I mean, the problem here in losing he's right, 25,000 jobs directly and then 25,000 downstream jobs. But that just means that people are going to have to move farther out to make things affordable like they do anywhere else. But it really does give that opportunity, and it's a missed opportunity here, of which they've yet to even talk about replacing. You know, AOC was the big one who tried to squash it here, but I haven't heard anything about what are we going to do to replace all of that here. Over there, they're going to benefit. That's the point. And we did have people here that were trying to take advantage of that and speculate and buy up some of the property, as they've done over there as well. So I think, overall, it's a plus, but it's going to be an affordability issue. But the bottom line is the consumer is doing really well. Incomes are up, and this is just furthering that and making it perhaps easier to afford it, even though you might have to move out a little bit further rather than downtown where you want to be.
Right. Fair enough, Doug. Good to see you, Jeff. Thanks, as always. Thanks, guys.